Kombucha tea, what is it? Who's heard of it before? It is. For a little tiny bottle, it's what, like $5 or $6 for a little tiny bottle? Okay, I'm going to show you how to make it for like 5 or 6 cents per bottle, okay? This is going to be amazing. And you're going to love it, I promise. Now, the thing with all this is, I'm talking a lot and explaining everything to you, but really, the sauerkrauts took less than 20 minutes to make. Like, that's a really complicated one. 20 minutes total, and you've got as much as you want. Kombucha tea takes as long as it takes to make a pot of tea. That's how long it takes, okay? Really, the hard part is just knowing the rules so that the bad bacteria doesn't get in there and overproduce and ruin your product. Like, that's the hardest part, and I'm teaching you all the tricks for that. So what is kombucha tea? Kombucha tea is a mixture, generally a mixture of green and black tea. And what they put in there is called a SCOBY, or a kombucha mushroom, SCOBY. I'm going to pull it out if I can. It looks like a placenta, I think, but you tell me what you think, okay? Only touch this with sterile hands because, again, it's alive. This is a live organism, okay? You guys see this? Yeah, gross, huh? So anyway, that's in there. Try not to think about it. Okay? What this is it's a symbiotic colony of beneficial yeasts, beneficial bacteria, and other beneficial organisms that are so amazing for your body. There are, I can't say that something cures anything in here, but there's a lot of testimonials online about people that have used kombucha tea to cure pretty much everything, okay? It has lots of different amino acids in there. Amino acids are what you use to build up they're the building blocks for all the proteins in your body. And your proteins are what make up your hormones, your muscle, all your tissues. Everything's made up of proteins, and the building blocks are your amino acids. So everything from your emotional state of health, depression, your immune system is made up of proteins, okay? So these amino acids are the building blocks for your healthy body. And so the kombucha mushroom, what it does is instead of putting the probiotic capsule to lacto-ferment your vegetables or your fruits, you're using the kombucha mushroom. It's like hundreds or thousands of symbiotic bacteria and yeasts and other organisms in there that are fermenting the tea you put in there, okay? So this is to yogurt. What yogurt is to milk, this is to tea, okay? Kombucha is to tea. What sauerkraut is to cabbage, kombucha is to tea. And what it does also is it grows on top of when you put your tea in there, the SCOBY, or the kombucha mushroom, grows on top of the tea to make it anaerobic, to keep the air out, to keep all the top bacteria from coming into the top, and it keeps it nice and healthy so everything beneath it is nice and acidic and healthy, and only the good bacteria back there. So it seals it off. And so traditionally it's made with a combination of green tea and black tea. However, I'm very sensitive to caffeine, and so when I drank regular kombucha, I just got kind of wired and I didn't like it. So I figured out how to make it with rooibos tea, Rooibos. And what that is, it's an herbal tea that has amazing properties to it. And actually, rooibos tea is a medicinal tea that heals lots of things on its own. But once you ferment it, remember, all the nutrients, all the healing properties are expanded and enhanced when you're fermenting it. So I use rooibos tea, or you can use a combination of green and black tea. Depending on which tea you use, it's going to give you a different flavor. And again, you're lacto-fermenting it, so it's going to make kind of a vinegary flavored beverage out of the tea. And what that does is you can, I'll teach you 2 different ways to do it. You can either do a batch kombucha, or you can do a continuous cycle kombucha. Both of them have different benefits and drawbacks. So just for the regular kombucha tea, for the batch kombucha, I love using, do you guys see this? It's got the little spigot on it. This is great because then, I used to make it in a big gallon jar like this, but then after the tea was done, I'd have to like pull out the SCOBY, dump out the tea, put it back in, and there was lots of touching of the SCOBY going on, and I kept getting contaminated. So I find when I do it with this glass jar with the little spigot on it, that way I don't have to keep touching it. I just pour the tea in top, and I never have to touch it, and it stays really great that way. So you can do it in a glass jar like this, or in a glass jar like this, or whatever you want. I would recommend doing it in glass instead of plastic because it's going to be acidic, and acids are generally solvents, okay? And so when you have a solvent touching plastic, it's going to start to dissolve the plastics into whatever you're making, and you don't want to do that. Also, you can't use metal because metal will kill the culture, okay? So do it in glass. And all I've got in here is the SCOBY with a little bit of my past batch of tea in there. And, okay, strong person, come help me. All right. No? We've been foiled. Kombucha demo ends now. Oh, thank you. We loosened it up for you. Thank you. Okay, so the SCOBY digests the tannins and all the ingredients that are in the tea, and it also lives off of sugar. So what's going to happen is you're going to put sugar in, but you're not going to get sugar out because the SCOBY will digest the sugar, and it will take all the sugar in the tea constituents, and it'll turn it into your vitamin B complexes, all your amino acids, and all those other health-promoting properties. But you've got to put the sugar in there because that's what the SCOBY eats, is sugar. Now, I tried it with honey. I tried it with molasses. I tried it with Raptura. I tried it with all sorts of other kinds of sugar, and nothing seemed to work. This, just regular organic cane sugar seems to work the best. You don't want to use white sugar because the cane sugar actually has more minerals in it, and the SCOBY will also digest the minerals. So just get the organic, raw cane sugar, and that works the best. 1 cup per gallon of cane sugar. We're going to shake this up. I would stir it, but I can't. I don't know. Oh, that's the sugar lid. I'll shake it because I can't stir it. I don't have a spoon. Okay, and that's all it is. So you brew a big pot of tea. You've got 1 cup of sugar per gallon of tea. And then you dump it into the jar with the SCOBY. Woo! Oh, those were the tea bags. Don't freak out. Okay. And that's your kombucha tea. Now, it takes kombucha. Same thing with kombucha. You want to keep it between 65 and 75 degrees, and that's the temperature that it works the best at. Now, you don't want to leave this top open because bugs and flies and dust will get in there. So I usually just take a paper towel, stick it over the top, and put the rubber band on the top. Now, it takes about 2 weeks before all the medicinal health properties of the kombucha tea start to react. So leave it in. I just put it, I do mostly raw food, so I don't use my oven. So my oven is my laboratory, right? So I stick all my things that are growing in my oven, and that's my garden, right? That's my bacteria garden in my oven. So this goes in my oven for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, you can taste it. So a sweet tea went in, right? And then in 2 weeks, it's going to start to taste a little bit like vinegar. And you want it to be down to a pH of at least lower than 4.5, okay? So I usually get mine down to a pH of 3. You can get the little pH test strips to dip it in there to find out. Oh, I forgot, with the sauerkraut, if you're worried about it and if it's your first time and you want to be all scientific about it, get pH test strips. You can get them for cheap at, I don't know where you get them, the fish store or whatever. And you dip it in there. It's got to be below 4.7. So if your pH is below 4.7, it means that enough lactic acid is built up to make it so that it preserves, right? So this needs to be also below 4. I usually do a 3.5, and that's how you learn to make it. So at 2 weeks, you get your first wave of really awesome health properties. And then, so at day 14, awesome health properties. Day 30, you get a whole different batch of awesome health properties. So instead of just making one batch, drinking a batch, and making another batch, we've got the continuous brew cycle, which is another method of making it. So you drink it down to 25%, so drink 25% of it, and then make enough sweet tea to fill it back up again and dump it in there. So what you've got is you've got tea from yesterday, you've got tea from a week ago, you've got tea from 2 weeks ago and from a month ago. So all the different stages of healing properties that are in there, you've got the full spectrum of them, okay? Otherwise, you'd have to have different pots, like one pot of 30-day-old tea, one pot of 15-day-old tea to get all the benefits that possible. So if you do the continuous brew method, when you add the 25% of sweet tea back in, wait 3 or 4 days because it takes about that long for it to start digesting the sugars, and then start drinking again. So what we do is we just, there's about a gallon in there, so we'll drain off a quart, put the quart in the fridge, put another quart of sweet tea in there, and then while we're drinking the quart in the fridge, it's going to be 4 days while that's fermenting. Does that make sense? And if you don't, remember this is a living creature, okay? So I've gone on vacation and forgot about it before, and I came home, and it was dead, okay? And or if it got too hot, once we turned on the oven, it was in the oven, I forgot, and it died. So it's a living creature. It's your pet. Take care of it, okay? And it'll take care of you. So the continuous brew method is what works really well. Now I found that it tastes kind of vinegary. Did you guys taste that one? What did you think? Good. It tasted great because it didn't taste vinegary because I'm awesome. Okay, so what you do, you take it when you pour off your quart to put in the fridge, throw in some frozen berries. I threw some frozen mixed berries in, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. That sits in there, and the acid, remember, is a solvent. It dissolves all the flavor out of those berries. I put a couple squirts of stevia liquid in there, so it sweetened it up, shook it up, and you've got like berry Kool-Aid, right? But it's got all these amazing health properties in there. So you can either just drink it plain, which is fine, or throw in some lemons. You can throw in lemon zest, just slices of lemon with the peel. I've done it with ginger. I've done it with orange slices. You can do it with peach slices, any kind of fruit you want. So you can just put whatever flavoring in there you want. Don't put it until you put it in the fridge, though. You don't want to put the fruit in with the SCOBY, okay? Drain off the quart, put the fruit in the quart. By the morning time, just overnight, it'll suck all the juice out of the fruit, and the fruit will look like a vampire sucked it. The fruit will be all pale and white, right? So take the fruit out, and then you've got it all in the juice. It will smell funny, and when you put your tea in there, it won't make the vinegar out of it. It'll just kind of go rotten. Yeah. That much what? Air? Yeah, because remember the SCOBY seals it off. So within a day, the SCOBY will like create like a barrier over the top, and then it'll seal it off from the air. So the tea is never touching the air and then if you can see this, where's the tea coming out? It's coming out from the bottom, okay? So if you just don't disturb the SCOBY, it'll keep it airtight. Yes? Where do you get SCOBY? I order mine online. So just, type in kombucha SCOBY and you just get it mailed to you. Or if you have a friend, the SCOBY keeps growing. So if you have a friend that has a SCOBY, have them cut it in half and give you half. SCOBY. Or you can Google like kombucha mushroom. That will work as well. Yes? No. I just didn't want to carry it home with it full and sloshing all over the car. So usually I fill this baby up. Any other questions? Yes?
I just wanted to ask if
This one has beets and red cabbage in it.
Okay. So you just did that in the exact same way?
Yes. You can use any fruit, any vegetable. Do it the same way. Not soft ones, though, but any kind of firm fruit and vegetable. Do it the same way. Mix them to your taste, and it's all the same.
Where did you get this container?
This, I got it at Home Depot. It's for the water jugs that go on top. The 5-gallon plastic water jugs. Home Depot. Any other questions? Yes?
So the fermentation, does it make the food more acidic?
It produces the lactic acid. So lactic acid does make it acidic. But the thing, that's awesome. Okay, so you've all probably heard of acidic conditions or alkaline conditions in your body, and alkaline is better. When you're using live lacto-fermented foods with lots of lactic acid in them, they're acid, but they actually create an alkaline environment in your body. So it will alkalize your body better than anything. Yeah, questions? Okay, we're getting to the end of our time. Do you guys want to stop, or do you want me to show you kefir? Okay, keep going. Sorry, it always takes longer than I thought. Okay, we'll do kefir if you guys want to stay. And then don't leave because we've got the raffle. All right. Oh, where'd my kefir go? Actually, if you don't mind the caffeine, the SCOBY will digest the caffeine as well. So you might start out with a certain amount of caffeine, and the SCOBY will digest it, so you've only got a tiny amount of caffeine left. So if you're not uber sensitive to caffeine, the green and the black tea actually work really well. You might, even if you use the rooibos tea, you might want to throw in a black or a green tea bag, because black and green tea has tannins in it, and the tannins actually feed the SCOBY really well. So if you're not super sensitive to caffeine and you want to use rooibos, at least throw a black or green tea bag in there so it has enough tannins to keep it going along. Okay. Kefir. You guys see this? Looks like another alien from outer space, right? Okay, so kefir, you probably heard of kefir in the sense of milk, right? So you can put a kefir culture in milk and it kind of makes a yogurt type substance. Well, for people that are raw food or don't want dairy, you can also make a water kefir. So these are called kefir crystals. These things at the bottom they're also called Japanese water crystals, I think. And they just, they're the same thing, same type of idea as the SCOBY. So it's a symbiotic relationship of a colony of bacteria and yeast and other beneficial organisms, except for they clump together and it looks kind of like large curd cottage cheese. It's a little bit like gummy candy or something. And it does the same thing as the SCOBY does, but it just does it to water. Or you can get those young baby coconuts, the Thai baby coconuts, crack them open, dump the water out, and then put the crystals in the water, and it'll feed off the sugars and all the nutrients in the coconut water to make you yet another awesome beverage. So you also get these online, and the recipe for this, just because we're out of time, I'm not going to demonstrate it. It's very easy anyway. You get the little kefir crystals. Now, instead of kombucha taking 2 weeks to a month to ferment, this takes 2 to 3 days. So you can get a beverage really, really quick off of the kefir crystals. So for 1 quart of water, it's 3 to 4 tablespoons of sugar for 1 quart of water. You mix the quart of water with the 3 to 4 tablespoons of sugar, or you can do a quart of coconut water from the baby Thai coconuts. Throw it in there, and I just put a paper towel over the top. Now this has holes in the top. You don't have to be so careful about this being anaerobic, just because there's the water seal on top of it and it's not really a problem. So I just put a paper towel on top with a rubber band, leave it at room temperature for 2 to 3 days, and then you do the same thing with it. You can either drink it straight or you can throw fruit in there to flavor it up, or I've got these little herbal tea bags that taste like different fruit flavors, and I'll throw a tea bag in there and it'll flavor it up, and it actually tastes like Kool-Aid. So my daughter loves it. She's like, yay, I get to drink Kool-Aid, right? And so that's all you have to do. Don't throw the fruit in there with the crystals. Again, it's the same as that kombucha. Pour it off. I've got this lid on here. It's a sprouting lid. See that with little holes in it? And I put that on there because then you can dump out the finished kefir into another jar, flavor it with your fruit or your little tea bags or whatever, or stevia if you want it sweeter. And this one tastes more like, the kombucha tastes like vinegar. This tastes more like a really good wine. Okay, so it's got kind of a boozy taste to it. There's not really alcohol in there. There might be trace amounts of alcohol, but there's no alcohol in there. That's the way that it ferments, and that's what it tastes like. So you can put the fruit in there, and then you have to immediately replace it with another quart of sugar water, because if these dry out, they die. So you just have to keep making it over and over and over again. Okay, so we usually just make one, drink it, and then by the time it's gone, the next one's ready to go. And you get a package of them online, and you just throw the whole package in there. These will grow as well, so you can, if you want to make more, after it grows, you can divide it and put it in 2 jars, and then be making 2 jars at a time. And then this little lid, it just catches the crystals, when you pour it out, so the crystals aren't falling out. And then before you add more water to it, just throw some plain water in there, swish it around, rinse them off, and then if for any reason bacteria or anything got on there, you rinse them off, and then you pour in the sugar water. Okay?